Funny thing about building a house with your own hands, you know where every nail sits, every wire runs, every pipe hides behind the drywall. So, when the foundation starts cracking, you feel it in your bones before you ever see the damage. I was standing in my workshop at 6 in the morning, sanding down a walnut dining table for a client in Meadowbrook, when I noticed the notification on my phone. The security camera I'd installed above the garage 3 days ago had picked up movement at 5:47 a.m. My wife Rachel's silver Lexus pulling into the driveway with the headlights off, coasting in like a ghost trying not to wake the dead. She told me she'd been at her mother's place in Henderson, helping sort through old photo albums. Her mother lives 40 minutes south. The Lexus's odometer said she'd driven 11 miles. 11 miles north puts you right in the middle of downtown Cedar Falls, where the bars close at 2 and the hotel and suites charge by the hour. My name is Marcus Jennings. I'm 41 years old, and I build things for a living. Custom furniture, kitchen renovations, deck additions if it's made of wood, and requires precision, I'm your guy. Been running my own contracting business for 14 years out of a converted barn behind our house. The house I built from the ground up with my own 2 hands when Rachel was pregnant with our son Jake. Every beam, every joint, every piece of trim in that house carries my fingerprints. I guess I just never imagined the woman I built it for would be the one to burn it down. Jake was 15 that spring, tall for his age, quiet kid, spent most of his time drawing in his sketchbook or helping me in the workshop when he felt like being social. He had his mother's dark hair and my stubborn jaw, and lately he'd been pulling away from me the way teenagers do, spending more time with Rachel, whispering conversations that stopped when I walked into the room. That should have been my first clue. The second clue came from my buddy Ray Dominguez. Ray owned a tire shop on Route 9 and had the kind of face that made strangers confess their sins. We'd been friends since high school, survived 2 recessions and 3 fantasy football leagues together. "You're not going to like this," Ray said one Tuesday, leaning against my workbench while I mortised a door hinge. "I never like anything you tell me on Tuesdays." Rachel was at Enzo's Saturday night, that Italian place on Maple, with someone. I kept my chisel steady. With someone meaning what? Meaning a guy. Mid-30s, expensive watch, drove a white BMW. They were sharing a bottle of wine and laughing like nobody else existed. My hand slipped. The chisel bit into the wood grain at the wrong angle, ruining an hour's work. "How long have you known?" "Saw it Saturday, told you Tuesday." That's the fastest I've ever delivered bad news. "You want my advice?" "No. Too bad. Don't do anything stupid until you know everything. Stupid people swing hammers in the dark. Smart people turn the lights on first." Ray was right. He usually was, which was annoying. But the rage was already building behind my eyes, like pressure in a sealed pipe. I needed to channel it somewhere useful. That night, I waited until Rachel fell asleep and went through her phone. She'd changed her passcode, which she'd never done in 16 years of marriage. But she'd used Jake's birthday, same combination she used for everything. Creature of habit, my wife. The texts were under a contact saved as Linda Book Club. Real subtle. "Can't wait to see you Thursday. Miss your hands on me. Soon, baby. Once the paperwork goes through, we'll have all the time in the world." Marcus doesn't suspect anything. He's too busy with his little wood projects to notice what's happening right under his nose. Little wood projects. 16 years I'd supported this family with those little wood projects. Put a roof over her head, food on the table, braces on Jake's teeth, and she'd reduced my life's work to a punchline for her boyfriend. The contact wasn't Linda. It was Tyler Brandt, 33 years old, financial advisor at Pinnacle Wealth Management downtown. Rachel had hired him 6 months ago to diversify our investments. Now I understood exactly what was being diversified. I spent the next week becoming a ghost in my own house, watching, listening, documenting everything on a backup phone. I kept locked in my workshop safe. Rachel's patterns were predictable once you knew what to look for. Tuesday evenings she had book club. Thursday afternoons were spa appointments. Saturday mornings she went to yoga that somehow required a full face of makeup and her best perfume. Every lie was a nail in a coffin she didn't know I was building. But here's where it got complicated. Jake. I came home early on a Wednesday and found my son sitting at the kitchen counter, FaceTiming someone on his iPad. He slammed it shut the second I walked in. "Who was that?" I asked. "Nobody. Just a friend from school." His ears were red. Jake's ears always turned red when he lied, same tell his mother had, ironically. I let it go. But that night, after everyone was asleep, I checked the kitchen camera footage I'd been recording. Jake hadn't been talking to a school friend. He'd been talking to Tyler Brandt. The audio was muffled, but I caught fragments. Jake laughing at something Tyler said. Tyler asking about Jake's drawings, complimenting his technique. Jake saying, yeah, he's always in the workshop. He doesn't really pay attention to stuff. My own son, feeding information to the man sleeping with his mother. The next morning, I drove to Ray's shop before it opened and sat in my truck until he pulled up in his beat-up Silverado. You look like you haven't slept in 3 days, he said. 2.5. I told him everything. The texts, the cameras, Jake's involvement. Ray listened without interrupting, which was how you knew he was taking it seriously. When I finished, he cracked open 2 Cokes from the mini fridge behind his counter and handed me one. What's your play? I'm going to find out exactly what Tyler Brandt is doing with my money and my family. Then I'm going to dismantle his life one piece at a time. How? I build things, Ray, which means I know exactly how to take them apart. Phase 1 started with the finances. Rachel had been managing our money since Jake was born. I'd trusted her completely, which now felt like handing a pyromaniac a box of matches and a map to the gas station. I called our bank and requested statements for every account going back 12 months. What I found made my stomach drop. Rachel had been siphoning money from our joint savings into a personal account I didn't know existed. Small amounts at first, $300 here, $500 there, but over 6 months, it added up to almost $22,000. And from that personal account, she'd been wiring money to Pinnacle Wealth Management, to Tyler. But here's where Tyler's game got interesting. I pulled the investment statements Rachel had been hiding in her email's trash folder. Tyler had put our money, my money, the money I earned cutting and joining and finishing wood until my hands bled into 3 separate funds. All 3 were down over 40%. Losses that steep don't happen by accident. They happen when someone's skimming the top and burying the evidence in fake management fees. Tyler wasn't just sleeping with my wife. He was robbing her blind while she helped him do it. I spent 2 days at the county records office going through public filings. Tyler Brandt had 2 previous complaints filed against him with the State Securities Board. Both settled out of court, both sealed. His firm, Pinnacle Wealth, had changed names 3 times in 5 years. That's not rebranding. That's a cockroach scurrying when you flip the light on. Phase 2 was the hardest part. Jake. I came home Friday afternoon and found my son in the living room, sketching on his iPad with his earbuds in. I sat down across from him and waited until he noticed me. We need to talk, I said. About what? About Tyler Brandt. The color drained from his face so fast I thought he might pass out. I don't know. Don't. I kept my voice level, the way I talk to clients when they want to change the design halfway through a build. Steady, patient, no room for panic. I know your mom has been seeing Tyler. I know you've been talking to him. I know you think he's a cool guy who pays attention to you. What you don't know is what I'm about to show you. I pulled out the financial documents, laid them on the coffee table like blueprints, showed him the transfers, the fake fees, the losses, the complaints, watched his face change from fear to confusion to something that looked a lot like betrayal. Mom said he was helping us, Jake whispered. She said the investments would pay for my college. He's stealing from us, Jake. From you. That college money is gone. Jake stared at the papers. His hands were shaking. She told me you wouldn't understand, that you were too focused on the business to see the bigger picture. She said Tyler was helping our family. And you believed her. She's my mom. Jake's voice cracked. What was I supposed to do? I wanted to be angry. Part of me was. But looking at my 15-year-old son trying to navigate a situation no kid should ever have to face, the anger shifted away from him and landed exactly where it belonged. You were supposed to be a kid, I said. None of this is your fault, but I need you to understand something. Tyler is not who your mother thinks he is, and I'm going to prove it. What are you going to do? I'm going to do what I always do. Fix what's broken. Jake was quiet for a long time. Then he said something that almost broke me. Dad, there's something else. Mom made me promise not to tell you. Tell me what? She did a DNA test on me last year. One of those home kits. She told me the results were just for fun, for ancestry stuff. But she got really weird about it after. Started crying and wouldn't tell me why. The workshop was dark when I drove out there that night. I sat on my bench surrounded by the smell of sawdust and linseed oil and let the implications wash over me like ice water. Rachel had done a DNA test on Jake. She'd gotten emotional about the results. She hadn't told me. I ordered my own test kit the next morning. Rush delivery. Had the results in 8 days. Jake was my son. 100%, no question. Confirmed by science and blood. Which meant Rachel's emotional reaction wasn't about paternity. It was about guilt. She'd tested Jake, hoping, maybe fearing that the results would give her an excuse. A reason to leave that wasn't just her own selfishness. When the test confirmed I was the father, she lost her escape hatch, and she went ahead with the affair anyway. That knowledge was gasoline on a fire I'd been carefully controlling. Phase 3 required precision. I contacted a forensic accountant named Diane Park, who specialized in investment fraud. Showed her everything I'd gathered. She spent 1 week reviewing the documents and came back with a verdict that would have made Tyler's blood run cold. "This isn't just unethical," Diane said. "It's criminal. He's running a modified Ponzi scheme. Your wife isn't his only victim. I can see at least 4 other accounts with the same pattern of manufactured losses and inflated fees. He's funneling client money into a shell company registered in Delaware. What do I do with this?" "We report it to the SEC and the state attorney general. They'll investigate, but with this documentation, it won't take long. You've basically done their job for them." I filed the reports on a Monday. Clean, detailed, organized. Every receipt, every statement, every communication time-stamped and cross-referenced. I build things for a living. I know how to follow a blueprint. Then I waited. While I waited, I made my move at home. Tuesday morning, I went to see Patricia Bowen, the sharpest divorce attorney in Cedar Falls. Showed her everything: the affair, the financial fraud, Rachel's involvement in moving money to Tyler's firm. Patricia studied the documents with the focus of a surgeon reading an X-ray. "Your wife may have criminal exposure here. Even if she claims she didn't know about the fraud, she facilitated the transfers. What's my best play? File first. File fast. With this evidence, you'll get primary custody, keep the house, and she'll be lucky to walk away with her personal belongings. The family court judge in this county does not look kindly on financial infidelity." I filed Thursday. Rachel was served Friday afternoon while she was getting her nails done at the salon on Cherry Street. According to my attorney, she called Tyler 14 times in the next 2 hours. Tyler didn't pick up. He was busy. The SEC had shown up at Pinnacle Wealth that morning with a team of auditors and a federal subpoena. Rachel came home that evening like a hurricane in heels. "What did you do, Marcus? What did you do?" "I was in the workshop, hand-planing a piece of cherry wood for a bookshelf commission. Smooth, rhythmic strokes, the wood curling away in thin ribbons." "I filed for divorce," I said without looking up. "You were served today. You can't do this." "Already done. This is because of Tyler, isn't it? You're punishing me because—" "I'm not punishing you for anything. I'm protecting myself and Jake from a woman who's been lying to us for months and a con artist who's been stealing our money. Tyler is not a con artist. He loves me. Tyler is under federal investigation for securities fraud. His firm is being audited by the SEC as we speak. The money you moved from our savings, $22,000, is probably gone." Rachel's face went through 5 stages of grief in about 10 seconds. "You're lying. Check your phone. It's on the local news." She pulled out her phone. I watched her read. I watched the color leave her face like paint peeling off old wood in the sun. "This can't be right." "It's all right. I've had a forensic accountant verify everything. Your boyfriend's been running a fraud scheme with at least 5 victims. You helped him access our family's money. If I were you, I'd start thinking about your own legal exposure." She started crying. "Marcus, I made mistakes. You made choices. Every lie you told me, every Tuesday book club, every Thursday spa day, every Saturday morning yoga class that smelled like another man's cologne. Those were choices. 6 months of choices." Jake appeared in the workshop doorway. He'd been listening. "Mom?" Rachel spun around, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "Jake, sweetheart, this isn't what it looks like." "It looks like exactly what Dad said it is." Jake's voice was shaking but steady. "I saw the bank statements. I know about Tyler. I know about the DNA test." Rachel's hand flew to her mouth. "The DNA test. How?" "I told him," Jake said, "because he deserved to know. Because you should have told him yourself." That moment, watching my son stand in the doorway of the workshop I'd built, choosing truth over the comfortable lies his mother had wrapped him in, was worth every sleepless night, every moment of rage I'd swallowed, every splinter of betrayal I'd pulled from my chest over the past 2 months. Rachel left that night, packed 1 bag, got in the Lexus, and drove to a motel off the interstate. She didn't go to Tyler's. Tyler was busy retaining a criminal defense attorney. The divorce took 6 weeks. Rachel's attorney tried to negotiate for half the house. Patricia shut that down with the financial fraud evidence. Rachel tried for joint custody. The judge reviewed the documentation of her involving Jake in the affair, the secret conversations with Tyler, using a 15-year-old as a spy, and awarded me primary custody with supervised visitation for Rachel. She ended up with her personal belongings, her car, and roughly $1,200 from the joint checking account. The $22,000 she'd wired to Tyler's firm was frozen as part of the federal investigation. She'd never see a dime of it. Tyler Brandt was indicted on 11 counts of wire fraud, 3 counts of securities fraud, and 1 count of money laundering. His victims totaled over $700,000 in losses. Rachel was named as a witness, not a defendant, but only because the prosecutors needed her testimony more than they needed another conviction. She called me the night before Tyler's arraignment. I was in the workshop with Jake, teaching him how to use the dovetail jig. Dean Marcus? She corrected herself, and I wondered who Dean was. I need to talk to you. About what? About us. About trying again. Tyler's gone. The whole thing was a mistake. And Stop. I set down the chisel. You keep calling it a mistake. Like you tripped and fell into a 6-month affair and accidentally wired $22,000 to a criminal. Those weren't mistakes, Rachel. Those were decisions. You decided I wasn't enough. You decided Tyler was an upgrade. You decided to use our son as a lookout. You made those decisions every single day for months. I was unhappy. Then you should have told me. You should have said, Marcus, I'm unhappy. Let's fix this, or let's end it. Instead, you let another man into our family and tried to rob us on the way out. Silence on the line. Then, quietly, do you think you'll ever forgive me? I looked at Jake, who was carefully measuring a joint with the calipers I'd given him for his birthday, concentrating hard, tongue poking out the corner of his mouth, same way he'd done since he was 5. I forgive you for being unhappy, I said. I don't forgive you for being dishonest. There's a difference. She hung up without saying goodbye. 2 months later, I entered a piece in the Cedar Falls Artisan Showcase, an annual competition that draws woodworkers from 6 counties. I'd been working on it since the divorce. A hand-carved rocking chair made from reclaimed oak I'd salvaged from a barn demolition in Wheatfield. Every joint was hand-cut. Every curve was shaped by palm and blade. No nails, no screws, no shortcuts. Jake had helped with the finishing. He'd developed a real eye for grain patterns and had mixed a custom stain that brought out the wood's natural warmth in a way I never could have achieved alone. We set the chair up at our booth on a Saturday morning, surrounded by tables and cabinets and cutting boards from other craftsmen. Jake hung his drawings on the wall behind us, sketches of the chair in various stages of construction, from rough lumber to finished piece. His art teacher had suggested it, and the judges loved the documentation of the process. Rachel showed up around noon. I spotted her across the exhibition hall, thinner than I remembered, wearing a coat I didn't recognize. She walked toward our booth slowly, like someone approaching a building they weren't sure they were allowed to enter. Jake saw her first. He tensed beside me. I put my hand on his shoulder. It's okay, I said. Rachel stopped a few feet from the booth, looking at the rocking chair. She reached out and touched the armrest, running her fingers along the curve. You built this? She asked. We built it, Jake said. Dad and me. She nodded. Tears were forming, but she held them back. It's beautiful. Thanks, I said. She looked at me then, and for a moment I saw the woman I'd married 17 years ago, the one who'd laughed when I proposed in the unfinished kitchen of the house I was building for her, sawdust in my hair and a ring I'd saved 6 months to buy. I'm sorry, Marcus, for all of it. Not because I got caught, because I hurt you, both of you. I know, I said, and I meant it, not as forgiveness, exactly, more like acknowledgement. She'd done a terrible thing. She knew it. We all knew it. There was nothing left to prove. She left after that, walked back through the crowd and disappeared into the parking lot. The rocking chair won Best in Show, $500 prize, and a write-up in the county paper. Jake and I stood there holding the ribbon, grinning like idiots while people took pictures. The photo ended up on the front page of the Cedar Falls Gazette, which Ray immediately framed and hung in his tire shop next to his expired boxing license, and a photo of us at senior prom with our dates. Driving home that evening, Jake was quiet for a while, staring out the window at the fields rolling past in the autumn light. Dad? Yeah? Can you teach me how to build a table? Like from scratch? Picking the wood, drawing the plans, all of it? I glanced at him. His sketchbook was open on his lap, already filled with rough designs. Rectangles, dimensions, notes in his cramped handwriting. Yeah, I said. I can teach you that. Cool. I was thinking something with walnut, and maybe a live edge. Mr. Patterson at school said live edge is really popular right now. Mr. Patterson's right. You've got good taste. Jake smiled, a real one, the kind I hadn't seen in months. It reached all the way to his eyes. We pulled into the driveway as the sun was setting, painting the house in warm orange light. The house I'd built with my own 2 hands, every nail and beam placed with intention and care. It looked different now, not smaller or sadder, just honest. A house that was exactly what it appeared to be, with nothing hidden in the walls. I parked in front of the workshop and killed the engine. Through the open door, I could see my workbench, my tools, the stack of walnut boards I'd been seasoning since last winter. Tomorrow, there'd be clients to call, estimates to write, a business to run. Jake had a history test on Monday, and a sketchbook full of table designs that needed refining. We had work to do. But tonight, we had something that 6 months ago I thought I'd lost for good. We had the truth. And it turns out the truth is a lot like good lumber. It's heavy, it's rough, and it takes a long time to shape into something useful. But once you do, it holds weight better than anything else in the world. Jake grabbed the ribbon and the trophy from the back seat. "I'm putting this in the workshop," he announced, right above the bench. "Good spot. And Dad?" "Yeah? Thanks for turning the lights on." I smiled. Ray would have appreciated that one. Inside, the kitchen was quiet and clean. I made 2 mugs of hot chocolate while Jake pinned the ribbon to the workshop wall with a finish nail perfectly placed, first try. Some skills are genetic, I suppose. Others are taught. The best ones are both. We sat on the workshop bench drinking cocoa, surrounded by sawdust and possibility, planning a table we hadn't built yet, from wood we hadn't cut. Outside, the autumn wind pushed leaves across the driveway in patterns that looked random but probably weren't, if you knew how to read them. Some things, once they're broken, stay broken. You can glue them, clamp them, pray over them, but the crack is always there, waiting to split wide open under the next load. But some things, the ones worth keeping, you don't try to fix at all. You take them apart down to raw material, study the grain, find where the strength lives, and you build something new, something that carries the memory of what came before but isn't bound by it. That's what Jake and I were doing. Not fixing, building. And the foundation was solid this time. I'd made sure of it.